So hi guys, today I'm going to discuss about the summary of the chapter 10, which is application layer. So in this chapter, we will explore the role of the application layer and how the application services and protocols within the application layer make robust communication across data network possible. So, visualizing the mechanism that enable communication across the network is made easier if we use the layered framework or the OSI model. So, for the application layer protocol, so the application layer is closest to the end user. So, it is the layer that provides the interface between the application used to communicate the underlying network over which messages are transmitted. So application layer protocols are used to exchange data between programs running on the source and destination host. So the upper three layers of the OSI model application presentation and the application, the presentation and the session. So it defines the function of the single TCP and IP application layer. So there are many application layer protocols, and the new protocols are always being developed. So some of the most widely known application layer protocols include Hypertext Transfer Protocol or the HTTP. So the File Transfer Protocol and the FTP and the Trivial File Transfer Protocol or the TFTP and the Internet Message Access Protocol or the IMAP and the Domain Name System or the DNS protocol. And also for the presentation layer. So the presentation layer has three main functions, which is the format, formatting or presenting data at the source, at the source device into a compatible form of the for received by the destination device and and compressing data in a way that can be decompressed by destination device and encrypting data for transmission and decrypting data upon receipt. So, the TCP/IP application layer protocols. So, the TCP application protocol is specify the format and control information necessary for many common internet communication functions. So, application layer protocols are used by both the source and destination devices during a communication session. So, for the communication to be successful, the application layer protocols implemented on the source and destination host must be compatible. So, so the client serve and server model. So in the client server model, the device requesting the information is called a client, and the device responding to the request it is called server. So if the device is requesting the information, it is called the client, and if the device is responding to the request, it is called the server. So the client and server process are considered to be in the application layer. So the client begins the exchange by requesting data from the server, so which respond by sending one or more streams of data to the client. So application layer protocol describe the format of the requests and responses between clients and server. In addition to the actual data transfer, this exchange may also require user authentication and identifications of a data file to be transmitted. So, and the peer-to-peer network. So, in the peer-to-peer network or P2P networking model, the data is accessed from peer devices without use of dedicated servers. So, the P2P network model involves two parts, which is the P2P networks and the P2P application. So, both parts have similar features, but in practice work quite differently. So in P2P network, two or more computers are connected via a network and can share resources such as printers and files. So without having a dedicated server, every connected end devices known as the sphere can function as both as a server and a client. So without having dedicated server. So every connected end devices, known as the sphere, as I say, can function as both a server and a client. So one computer might assume the role of server for one transaction while simultaneously serving as a client for one another. So the roles of client and server are set on the sphere request basis. So a simple example for P2P networking is so yeah. So as I say, peer-to-peer application the P2P application allows the device to act as a both client and server within the same communication. So every client is a server and every server is a client. So P2P application requires that each end devices provides a user interface and run a background server service. So some P2P applications use a hybrid system where resource sharing a decentralized but indexes that point to resource location are stored in the centralized directory. So in a hybrid system, each peer-to-peer access an index server to get the location of resource stored on another peer. So for the well-known application layer protocols and services. So we have the hypertext transfer protocol and hypertext markup language. So when a address or uniform locator or the URL is typed into web browser, the web browser establish a connection to the web server web service. So running on the server using the HTTP protocol, URLs and uniform resource identifier URLs are the name most people associated with web addresses. So the browser interprets the parts of the URL, which is the HTTP or the protocol or scheme, the www.cisco.com, so the server name, and the index.html, which is the specific file name requested. So HTTP, it is a request HTTP is a request or response protocol. So when a client, typically a web browser, sends a request to a web server. HTTP specifies the message type used for the communication. So the three most common message types are the get, a post, and post. So the get, it is a client request for data. A client or a web browser sends the gates message to the web server to request HTML pages. And the post is the uploads data file to the web server such as the form data. And the put, it is uploads resources or content to the web server such as an image. Although HTML is remarkably flexible, it is not a secure protocol. The request message send information to the server in plain text that can be intercepted and read. So the server responses, typically HTML pages, are also unencrypted. So for the email protocol, where one of the primary services offered by an ISP is email hosting. So to run on a computer or other end devices, email requires several applications and service. So email is a store and forward method of sending, storing, and retrieving electronic messages across a network. So email messages are stored in database on mail service. So email clients communicate with mail service to send and receive message. So mail servers communicate with other mail service to transport message from one domain to another. So an email client does not communicate directly with one another with another email client. So while sending email, instead both clients rely on the mail server to transport messages. So that's all for the summary of the chapter 10, which is the application layer. So I hope you guys learn in this chapter and from what I said. So thank you guys for watching.